Good evening and welcome to this month's safety briefing. Our topic this month is personal protective equipment, also known as PPE. PPE is a vital resource to many industries, in particular the one that we all work in here, chemical manufacturing. We have a variety of issued PPE that we use on a daily basis to protect us from the things we encounter in the workplace. Those items include things like a hard hat, safety glasses, safety goggles or a face shield, a uniform that's standard issued, which is a long sleeve shirt, long pants, safety shoes, which are steel toed and must extend above the ankle, and they cannot be sneaker look-alike either. All this collectively we kind of pull together and use as a safety tool to protect us from any kind of hazards we might encounter in the workplace. However, PPE should not be the fail-safe in any industry. We should first try to use good engineering controls, good workplace practices, and other measures to try to protect against hazards before we rely on things like personal protective equipment. PPE is common in the chemical industry that we're involved with here, but it also is useful in any industry and can vary depending on what industry you're working in. One industry might consider something a standard issued item or equipment that wouldn't necessarily make sense or meet the standard or specification needed for another industry. So these are just some things to think about when choosing the appropriate PPE. And the thing we like to refer to here is, if you don't know, ask, and you can always we can always find something, another control mechanism or some kind of other piece of equipment that can protect you from that hazard. Because the most important thing to us is your safety. We know how important you are as an associate to us as your employer, and to obviously your family and friends back home. And we use a saying here that we want you to go home the same way you came in. So it's vitally important that you keep these things in mind and always keep safety at the forefront, and make sure you take everything into account with what you need to do to remain safe. Because PPE is obviously something that is near and dear to a lot of our hearts. It's common to for it to become such a commonplace item that we overlook the importance of it. We go through these trainings frequently, and we have PPE in particular on a routine basis annually. So you hear this repetitively, and it can sometimes become its own worst enemy, because we kind of get accustomed to the things we're supposed to do, and we don't necessarily think before we do some kind of other act that might be unsafe. Some other kinds of PPE specific PPE that are specific to tasks that we do here. We have fall protection, confined space entry, excavation, permitting and requirements for PPE associated with that, hot work, when you're using welders or torches or things like that. And we all have certain measures that we use when those things are being used, or those tasks are being completed. We have hearing protection, respiratory protection. We have these safe work permit forms that we fill out that help us make sure we're choosing the appropriate PPE for those tasks when we're doing something that's a little tougher, or a little more involved than a standard everyday task on the job site. So again, these are just some other examples of PPE that we use here in our chemical manufacturing facility, but that can also be used in a variety of other industries. And I always fall back to anytime you are interested in some other form of protection or hazard control, do a little bit of research and maybe present it to your manager so that they have an idea that you really want to make sure you're doing things safely, and then they can look into it as well and see if it's an improvement item that can be implemented across the entire facility to improve overall plant safety. So again, just some things to remember. This month's safety briefing, we do these frequently, so you'll have a new topic next month. But if you have any questions, you obviously know where you can get in contact with me via email or phone, or just come by my office. I'm usually around. Thank you.